This is going to be good.
I mean, I think that is something that is so important because it's not like I could go to college for it and then put in my resume, I graduated from blank blank. So how did this all start? I know it was radio, and then how did radio go into voiceover?
Well, it all started in Peoria, Illinois. I'm from a little town in Illinois called Pekin, Illinois, Pekin. And 12 miles away was the big radio station in the area was WIRO. And I had been taking a radio class my sophomore year in high school. And we actually had a state-of-the-art studio there at the school. We didn't have a transmitter, but we broadcast over phone lines on the local radio station. And I really enjoyed doing it. And at one point, I got a call from the program director of this big station in Peoria, asking me if I'd like to come up and audition for a job. And I said, yeah, sure. So I went up there on a Saturday morning and auditioned for it, and I went on the air Saturday afternoon.
Wow.
And it was incredible. And I did that for a few years, well, a couple of years, and then they gave me my own show, and then I moved on to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to WOWO, and then Cleveland, and Chicago, and then finally New York. And for 35 years, I was with Imus in the morning on the radio and TV.
Jesus, dude. I am so envious right there. Wow.
No,
Don't mind out. When I hear myself say it, I sound old.
No, but actually, you actually look better with age. So COVID-19 is doing something nice for you. Because as I see, it's like, what? No. He knows I'm not nice. I'm very honest. So I know you're very blessed with your wife and your children, but they're also kind of lucky to look at you every day. Now, I also know you do impersonations.
Hey. Calm down, Larry. Let's back it up, all right? We know you're a powerful lion. Just back up.
Aaron, I don't think we need you anymore.
No, I even have some kids. I have a ThunderCats sword in I work at a school, and sometimes I have them impersonating you as the Lion-o. So it's fun. But
really?
No, I do.
Yes.
Trust me on Instagram. No, I do.
Your stuff is all over our house. To our left in the studio right now, there's a statue I bought when I was there at the Comic-Con I met you at. And then on the wall is your animation cell you signed for me. It's hanging on the wall. And then over to my right, I've got your sword on the wall, Sword of Omens on the wall. So you're you're a lot in the studio. Some Star Wars, but you're mostly ThunderCats.
Yeah, we don't want to date you, but Aaron and I went to elementary and middle school together, and we both ran home to watch ThunderCats.
With a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
You guys have known each other since middle school.
Oh, yes.
No, first grade.
First grade, yeah.
No kidding. That's wonderful.
Yeah, we started dating during, what was it? We played Duck, Duck, Goose?
No. That's another story. It's a long story.
It's a long story how we met. There was
a 20-year gap, so he found me again. But I want to know, because you know how to impersonate some voices of some people that I like and some so-so. Andy Rooney from 60 Minutes.
Of course. He's no longer with us, of course, but what the hell? I have pictures of him on my desk here. Did you ever notice how his eyebrows kind of bounce up and down when he talks?
I loved him growing up. And now, wait, in this it's in the history books, so it's General Patton?
General Patton, that's right. Men, you are Americans. Americans like to kill people, so get the hell out there and do it.
Wow.
And then for the history buffs out there, Ross Perot.
Ross Perot. Now, you kids don't know me because you're too young, but I ran for president twice. Damn near won it once.
Wow.
Say, we got to get under the hood and fix this country. You can take that to the bank.
Okay, and then also, if individuals are listening and you don't, Larry Kenney, if you like Skittles and you love eating them, he is on all the time. They just recycle your voice. They never call you back in to do retakes of it, do you?
Oh, no, we do it. We do it. A new one every time I go in the studio.
Oh, great.
Time.
That is great.
Yeah. I told them once, after we'd been doing it for about 5 years, it's been about 20 now. I said, you know, if you're familiar with the commercial, you know that at the end, I'm the guy that says, feel the rainbow, taste the rainbow. But every new one, the first word is different. You know, something the rainbow, taste the rainbow. It's always something the rainbow, taste the rainbow. So I suggested one time, half jokingly, why don't you guys, you know, book me for an entire day, and we'll record every verb in the language. And then that way you don't have to call me back. But we didn't do it. No, I have to go back in every time, which is fine, you know.
Wow, man. And then who called you for VH1's Best Week Ever? How did you, we talked about this before, but how did you get that one? Was it your agent or somebody wanted you?
Yeah, well, your agent called you and says you have an audition tomorrow at 10 o'clock for this particular thing, or you have a booking, you know, Tuesday for the thing you auditioned for last week. That's the way the business works. You have to audition for pretty much anything, everything. As a matter of fact, our unions, Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, which are now actually one union, SAG-AFTRA. As a matter of fact, they require ad agencies to hold auditions for every new commercial, so that you can't show favoritism in somebody and keep using the same people over and over, you know. And it gives the newer people in the business and the union a chance to get some work. So you have to audition for it. I did the Best Week Ever. That was on VH1 we did it in like 2 or 3 different blocks. We did it for a few years, and then it was off for a few years, and then back on again. It was fun to do, but it kind of wore me out.
So when they sat you down, because some of the stuff and the way you read the lines was unbelievable. I mean, like it wasn't. How do I explain it? It's like, this week on Best Week Ever, Aaron Fonseca. The way you did it, do you know what I mean? I mean, how did the director or the voice, when you were in studio, how did he approach you to read it? I mean, was it any of yours, or was it actually you had some feedback? How did it go?
Well, at the very beginning, at the audition even, they said that we just want something very up, very bright, and kind of snarky, you know, because the attitude of the show is kind of, you know, look what this dumbass is doing.
Yeah.
So I just gave him an idea. I said, how about this? It's the second week of April, 1984. The best week ever! And that locked me in. I had to do that. I had to do that all day long for years. That's why my voice sounds like this now.
No, you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, no, it's really good. Now, your grandkids must love it. You must do crazy stuff with your voice with them. Or is that... Because you have a few grandchildren, correct?
Oh, yes. But you know, it's the funniest thing. My grandkids are just like my kids, their parents, in this way. You know, well, I would start to read to them. We always read to our kids when they were very young. And I would start reading to them, and then for example, I'd read the story that had a witch in it. And I would say, and the witch says, I'm going to get you, sweetheart. I'm going to get... And my kids always go, Dad, just read the story.
And this is like last week to your kids, right?
Yeah.
Right, they are sheltering in place with you, right?
And I wanted to shout, do you know who I am? Do you know how many people would love to sit here and have me read this to them? And, Dad, just read the story.
Wow. So Bowling for Dollars, how long did that last for you? You did some television Bowling for Dollars for a while. How long was that for?
We did that, pardon me. I did that 3 years, 76 to 79. And but before me, Bob Murphy, sportscaster, he did the Mets games. He was the host of that show. That show was on in, I think, 15 different markets around the country, but with a different host in each city.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea was to have local people have a chance of being on a game show. You know, the network game shows, you've got to audition sometimes 3 or 4 times and be the right kind of person that they want to be on the show and all that. But on Bowling for Dollars, we just if you sent a card in and it was picked out of the pin pal barrel, you got to be on the show. And we never met them until they got there, which led to some interesting things.
Now, you've had many different jobs, right? So I believe in 1963, you worked at Sandy's, like a diner doing burger, fries, and soda for 35 cents.
Who are you people?
Yeah. Remember, he had to find me 20 years later. So I want to know, what's your best job and your worst job you ever had?
Oh, well, my best job is what I do now, talking for a living.
Yeah.
But when I was young, I had, even though I started in the radio when I was 15, I had been working before that. For a year before that, I was a sports reporter. I covered high school basketball games, football games, things like that for our local newspaper. And at the time I got this call about radio, I thought that's what I was going to do the rest of my life, was be a sports reporter. I really, really enjoyed going out and covering the games. And I would take the pictures and taking the film back to the newspaper office at night, and then go to school the next morning. So I enjoyed that. You mentioned Sandy's Drive-In, which was a kind of a precursor to McDonald's and Burger King.
Right.
We sold 15-cent hamburgers and 10-cent drinks and things like that. I did that when I was about 13, I think. And then between my junior and senior year of high school, I was doing the radio, but I also worked at a distillery, the American distillery, bottling vodka and vermouth and stuff like that.
How much came home? How much of that came home?
I'll just say this. If you were in the parking lot and when a shift ended, and you listen to everybody walking to their cars with their metal, remember the old metal lunch boxes, those black metal lunch boxes?
Yeah.
All you hear was tinkle, 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 tinkle.
And you weren't 21 yet, right?
No, I was like 16. 17. And you discovered the first day in your job there that those lunch boxes, if you didn't put any lunch in them, would hold 6 little half-pint bottles. So that's how many you got every day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so where you are, how's it going on with the protests? Are you anywhere close to that? Or is everything okay for you guys?
No, I live in Connecticut, in a very small town.
Okay.
And I don't think there have been any. Well, there may have been some protests around here, but I haven't been outside except out in the front yard, so I don't really know. And I haven't been watching local news. We're watching the New York news. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there are some things going on, but I haven't seen them. 2020,
what a year, huh?
Oh boy!
What I never thought this year would become to this. I was like, I had other plans. I thought I'd be at Disneyland today. Really?
Yeah, Larry, are you surprised with everything? I mean, I'm not trying to age you, but you've seen a lot, right? Like in the 60s and everything. Are you kind of surprised, because there's always this bubble and there's always a burst throughout history when there's just too much, and when we keep on putting a Band-Aid on something. I mean, are you surprised?
I'm very surprised at how big this thing got, but it's not a surprise, really. It's been bubbling under for years and years and years, and I think what happened was a perfect storm. Things happened just, close enough to each other, because in the past, one of these horrible shootings would take place, and there would be an uproar for a few days, a week or two, and then we'd forget about it, and then until the next one. Unfortunately, it's the way school shootings have become. You remember the first time you heard of somebody shooting up a school and killing a bunch of kids? And you couldn't believe that was happening. And it certainly will never happen again. And yet, look where we are, because we haven't done things about it.
That's right.
But do you think it's because we were so shelter in place for so long, we're inside so long, and then they were angry and they got out and they're like, boom. The two it was like you're saying it was like the perfect storm of everything happening in order. Yeah.
Definitely. Just things happening that if they had happened separately at different times, I think it wouldn't have happened. This enormity of it would not have happened. So in a way, I think it's probably a good thing that it finally kicked everybody in the ass and said, we've got to do something about this now. Yeah. Or there's going to be civil war or something.
Yeah. And what I think, like, the best saying I've heard, there's a lot of great sayings and not so great sayings, is not that let's get back to the normal, but let's create a new normal. Right. And I think that's important for everything, for us to be healthier for all, take care of all of us for all, because that's just going to make us all great.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the same holds true for, let's say, if the if it wasn't for the riots and things and the protests and the, the terrible reason for those,